What are we doing today?
So today we are installing a 3,500 pound winch and a custom made Rad Relocate on my Honda Rubicon 500.
You just got this how long ago?
Maybe 2 months, if that.
And you've already got these big 12 wide 27s?
Yeah, 27 inch tall, 12 inch wide back, 10 inch wide front.
They're pretty mean looking. Way better than that stock stuff you had on there.
That is for sure.
And you got
Custom snorkel.
the snorkel's already done, so now you're just doing the Rad Relocate and the winch, and this thing's ready for as whatever it can be.
Pretty much.
So we have
Morning, sunshine.
we have some aluminum, and that's where you're going to build your brackets out of to hold your rad. Some coolant, some gravel guard, paint it up, and then this winch. Where'd you get the winch? Online?
Crappy tire.
Crappy tire. So
Crappy tire special.
3,500 for this bike should be plenty enough. We got some drawings. It's not our first time doing this, so we should be perfectly fine. And it's gonna be good, man. This thing's gonna be ready. It's those tires are gnarly, man. So we're gonna have to put in a relay. We're gonna put it in the back here. I've done it before for my buddy, and run that for the winch. And we're gonna start plugging away to get the rad out of here, and basically the same thing we did for your bike, Cass.
Yep.
Should be good. Taking the front rack off, Cass.
Yep.
So we got to take the front rack off, and there's these plastics under here that all they're held by is a bunch of these clips. Really easy. And once the front rack and bumper and everything's off, we can start looking at the rad. He's down there pulling off skid plates, and we're gonna get everything moved around. We got plenty of hands today, so we should have a very quick job. I always say stuff like that at the beginning of videos, and then it's like 3 days later and I'm angry. We got quite the busy shop today anyway. Okay, so we've already got the front rack and most of the bumper off. And for this Honda, it looks like once you've got that, you can either take it from the back here and take the whole fender clips off, or you can take it apart by the headlights. We're just going to take the whole front clip off. And then we're just going to take his snorkel and disassemble it from here, and we should have the whole front end off. That took like 2 minutes. Max has already got the skid plate on the bottom here down so that we can have a clean working area for where his winch is going to go. And then we start running some wiring, and while we're in here, maybe we can do some extra dielectric grease or whatever.
Most of it's been done.
A lot of opportunity. This bike is really easy to disassemble as far as plastics. Way easier than anything I've worked on yet. So Honda really keeps some stuff in mind for sure. So now we've got everything disassembled. Took like 2 seconds. Bunch of pop tabs, 12 mils, 10 mils, and pretty much everything comes off. So the bumper came off with complete clips like this. We found this to be the easiest way to do it. And now we have full access to see the rad. It looks like it has these, like, you know, venturis or whatever you want to call them, and we take that off. And then we figure out what we're going to do with the rad. We're probably going to keep the overflow right where it is and just run a new overflow hose. And then we start figuring out some wiring, and then once we have that removed, we'll move on to doing the winch. While it's all disassembled, we can run the wiring better, and we'll have a good look at where all that's going to go. It's looking pretty good. All right, Max, what's going on now?
Pulling the fan out.
It's quite the intricate little fan mount.
Yes, sir.
It's quite the system. We're gonna have to figure out how to mount this all proper, and once we get that fan out, the rod's already sitting over here, so we'll clean that up and we'll start making the bracket later. But we've also got what I'm assuming is an ECU, which used to be attached to all this too, so we're gonna have to come up with some sort of mounting system for that also. We drained the coolant as best as we could, but of course in Mainville ATV fashion we dumped 90% of it on the floor. And then we're gonna have to probably extend that fan wiring. But that's not a big deal. It's this thing got tore down way faster than Cass's quad. Hers is a little more complicated. This thing came off in like 3 pieces.
You were by yourself when you did it.
Oh, I had Cass. But
I was not going to go there.
we're doing pretty well so far, and now it's time to actually hunker down and start thinking about all this. And we'll see how many bolts we're left with and see how professional we really are. So we're doing pretty well, actually. I think so. And pretty soon he's going to start measuring and making the bracket. He's going to make it out of aluminum himself. And then we're going to place the relay, start some wiring, and figure out the winch mount also at the same time. So it's a good thing, because these Hondas I've found, it's not the first time I've seen this. It's easier to pull the rad out and relocate it at the same time as doing the winch. Just gives you a lot of room, and it's just like Cass's bike when we did the snorkels and the Rad Relocate. It was just prime time to do it all while we're already in there. But after this, Max, your bike's going to be good to go, dude.
There's more to come.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's always more. Go ahead.
Safety first.
Plan. We're basically going to use these aluminum bars and make one side of the box and support it from the other side, where we're going to put mesh to protect it. This is what Max's idea is. So then it'll be protected, and on the front bumper basically hold it up with more of the aluminum. It's kind of where we're shooting so far, and we're just drilling up all of the mounts, and we'll see how that goes. And once we have this thing caged in and our idea is set in stone, we'll paint it with some gravel guard. It's basically like a Line-X or a Rhino liner or whatever. This guy here from Crappy Tire.
Benson.
Or Benson's, whatever, same shows, different hand. And then we start working on the winch.
You could have taken some of those spring mounts and had one of those kitchen doors, right?
Yeah, exactly.
In theory.
In theory.
You could have had one of them fancy restaurant type doors. Opens both ways.
You just swore. Now we have to wait 20 minutes.
That one's off. Making up some brackets, just so we can support the other side of the rad cover, and then we can put the screen on top of that second cover, and the rad will be reasonably protected.
Maybe a little longer than what you marked out.
Watch your face, my dear. I do like it a lot.
Pretty sure.
I'm a big fan of her face, yep.
So what are we doing?
We are marking out brackets.
Dope.
Go team.
This is a bit of a brush a flame background, backyard, eyeball thing, but it'll work, and that's all that matters.
That's hillbilly for, yeah, it's hillbilly for Jimmy rigged.
That sounds like French.
There's worse ways to say
Sounds
it.
like-
Brush that flame.
Brush of hay or straw.
It'll be a
You can
bracket.
draw these lines there, bud?
It'll be a rad. Oh my god.
So you're falling behind there.
Just get out of
He means, can you please move?
There was no cussing.
I'm actually
polite.
I'm a nice guy.
It was polite.
It's very nice of you.
You're very welcome.
It's a beautiful day outside. Not hot, not humid, no bugs.
Well, it's kind of warm and greater.
Yeah.
Now we take all of these, we make our bolt holes. There's gonna be a lot of bolts in this thing.
There are going to be a lot of bolts in this thing. I think I got like 60 bolts or something. So it should be good. And then again, we do have the ones that we're not going to use when we put the quad back together. Right?
It's just extras. I put it in my extra bin.
Yeah, when we put back my quad together, there was extra bolts in Kyle's pockets.
Yeah.
And I do the laundry, right? So I found them and I'm like, Kyle, what are these? And he's like, nope, they're from something else.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's when he said, hey, here's a bin for all your bolts. I was like,
I'm master mechanic, okay?
maybe we should have...
Dabarouette.
Maybe we should have a different bin for wherever the bolts came from. Because I've done the same thing, taking apart snowmobile engines.
Yeah.
And then you go, oh no. Why do I have these bolts left over? Where did they come
It's
from?
the wrong bit. I almost just started drilling.
A giant hole?
Yeah.
Master mechanic though, guys.
Yep.
Why?
With his brush off.
Oh, this is gonna get loud. Not even.
It's for you.
Oh.
And then you can curl that all up and you can have an aluminum scrubby brush. Do the dishes.
Excuse me? No. Just kidding.
So now we've got the rad all enclosed. It's just kind of mocked up all loose. All the bolts are loose. So we're messing around with a couple ideas of what we could do. We just kind of want to cover it up with some of this, what did you call that again?
Extruded steel or expanded steel.
Expanded steel. And we're thinking about just like cutting the corners off and folding it over all around the rad. We messed around with a couple other ideas, but this is going to turn out pretty good for free. Free materials, and just rip the rad out and make it all work. That's what Max wanted to do, was not buy a kit and make it ourselves, make it different. Just see what we can come up with by eye and make it work. So it's pretty cool so far. We'll see what we're going to end up with, but it's going to be solid and it's going to definitely protect it. Might not look the prettiest, but it's going to be painted rocker guard black like we were showing you earlier, and I think it'll turn out really nice.
Behind the scenes, super legit, super safe bending of expanded steel.
Everything here is measured by eye.
Well, we haven't pulled out the torches yet, so.
What you didn't see is Kyle's sandals being used.
Safety third.
They don't even fit my feet.
Hey, you said 10. You said size 10. I got you
Well,
size
10 in China apparently is 12.
So basically what they're looking to do is, instead of cutting it, and I'm only saying this because I asked, but they're going to bend this to cover the sides as well, and they're not going to cut it and remount it so that it all comes off in one piece. If they need to access it, it'll just be the 4 bolts on the front face.
That's the plan, Stan.
That's the plan. So we just got to trim it up, the excess at the bottom. We're still waiting to bend the sides, and then we'll see how that lines up. A little trimming, and then should be good to go.
Careful. I saw it flex a bit.
Because it's not bolted all together properly.
We can use the diamond plate again. And Kyle's super dandy sandals.
Well, it's starting to look a little less bastardized, and Max is done bending it up, so now it's all protected. So we have 4 bolts that go through it and are going to hold the cage onto it. The overflow bottle's attached to the side, and now we just got to figure out a way of mounting it to the bumper. So we're going to basically start somewhat reassembling this thing, just so we can start choosing layout and where we're going to put it all, and then start fitting up some cooling pipes, and then start working on the winch.
What's up?
I just started prepping the winch, getting it on the mounting plate, putting the fair lead on, putting the remote on the steering. I'm gonna have to run some wiring for the relay. There's a few little things. I just wanted to get ahead of this while we're waiting for paint to dry instead of watching.
What do you think? So far, so good?
So far, so good.
You're not nervous about putting holes in your plastic?
I am not nervous about cutting holes in my plastic at all.
I was. Not about your plastic, so I don't know. Yeah, couldn't care less about yours, but yeah, mine.
Plastics are cheap.
But we cut holes in mine like 2 days after we got it. I think I had 8 kilometers on my bike.
I brought mine home, went to Home Hardware, bought all the stuff for the snorkel kit, and started cutting holes in it the day I got it.
Oh my god, no, I couldn't do it. I could not do it. Well, making progress.
We'd already sunk it in the mud, or been in a mud run before it was ready to be broken in.
That's true. Yeah, mine too. It's been a couple runs. Still breaking it in. Couple hours left. But she's shiny.
Haven't even owned it for 2 months, and I've already done tires, snorkel, Rad Relocate, in the works.
Same thing with us.
Yeah. Soon we'll all be able to go out together. Yay!
So we're now on to the part where we're waiting for paint to dry, and we're starting to set up the brackets for the winch he's setting up. He's got a 3,500 pound winch. So now we have the bracket put into here. We had to figure out which way to orient it and how to be able to slide the winch in with the plate. So it looks like this is how we're gonna have to do it. So we just put the bottom 2 bolts, rolled the whole front fascia down. We put the winch inside, and I'm thinking about putting the relay just right up here, and the remote wire is just hanging off the top. And then I'll just start running some wire, and it should work out pretty well. But we just wanted to catch you up on what's going on.
Now the question is,
So we got the plate all sorted out, everything's tightened down, and we slipped in the 3,500 pound winch. And now that the rad's gone, you could do anything you want in here. So we're thinking now of taking this relay that runs from our fancy dancy cord right there. We'll run it all the way down, and I'll mount this something like that. A little bit of dielectric grease, some rubber boots. I think it'll work out just fine. Some tappers, and then this part's done, and we can start focusing on the ends of our rad hoses and stuff like that, and put our plastics on, drill some holes, and we're pretty much there. So progress for sure. Way faster than the Yamaha in a day. Okay guys, so now that we have the winch in, I ran the wiring, so we have a positive negative all the way along the side here. And it comes up to the relay, which I did, what I was saying earlier is I just tapped them right in, and I ran the other positive negative to our motor on the winch. So now that's all in there, and then this remote signal for the relay is all tied into it, and it runs up to the switch on the handlebars. So this is pretty much ready to go. We just have to put a fair lead on it, put a hook on it, and that's done. But now our paint's dry, so Cass and Max are putting the brackets together that we made up earlier for the rad. So they're all painted up. He's going to put them together. Then we have to start kind of dry fitting what we're going to do up here, seeing where it all lands and how we're going to mount it, and where we're going to drill holes for the hose for the coolant. So we're making good progress. It's going a lot quicker. There's a lot of room on these bikes to work, so it didn't argue very much. It's going to be pretty well, about 90% done today, eh Max?
sure hope so.
Right on. So we're doing pretty good. Okay guys, so we have the winch all said and done. We just got to put the fair lead on. We just tested the wiring. It's all run and everything works well. We had a bit of a mishap with a lead in the wrong spot, but we're good now.
Yeah.
We have this all caged in, and we had the rack and everything on it. We just had a look at how we want to do it. It fits up pretty well, so we're going to come back at this tomorrow after we're going to eat and do all that stuff. So tomorrow we'll tidy it up, give it a test run, and burp it, and we'll be good to go. Okay, day 2 of what we're calling Mad Max build, which is funny because the owner's name is Max. We have the rad all encaged, freestyle, and we have the winch working. It's all set up. Now we're basically mocking up the top rack and how we're going to place the snorkel, see if we can get it to reach the original wiring so we don't have to start screwing everything up. And everything else is back together here. Went well. We're doing good progress there now. We're just trying to figure out how we're going to mount it exactly, so it's reasonably solid. And yeah, it's looking good. I like what we're doing. I think it's interesting that we're doing this for basically no money at all, and that's what Max wanted, so here we go. Okay, so now we're making a lot of progress. We've got an idea as to what's going on. We started building our brackets here on the rack, and we have extensions that go from that bracket that we made upwards to hold up the actual rad that we did. So that'll be all laying here. Now we're just figuring out the two hoses. We're gonna pop them out, see where we have to drill into the cover for the hoses to come through. And I think the fan wiring might make it through long enough, and we're looking pretty good. Everything reasonably tied up. We have full length hoses there so we can do some routing. We're going to continue to mount the actual rad that we made and see how everything lines up. We made the holes a little larger so we can put some protectors over the hose. This is the fan breather, and that's the fan wiring. We hope it's gonna make it. It should, by what we've been doing, but so far so good. We just mount this thing permanently, and then we start putting coolant and burping it. So it's looking pretty good. So we just finished burping it. We just tested it out. We found a leak or two, tightened it all up. It's not leaking now. Fan turns on the whole bit. Max wanted the cheapest possible do-it-yourself. Here it is. It's awesome. It's robust. It ain't going anywhere. It works really well. And how much did you do this for? Like 16 bucks?
$16
for nuts and bolts.
nuts and bolts.
16 bucks. So you can do it yourself. I think it's pretty cool, especially for quad. We're kind of nicknaming the Mad Max. So we kind of have some ideas for the future. Maybe we'll see, but it looks really good. It's definitely going to hold up. It's stronger than something you could buy. There's no doubt about that. I like it. So it runs well, and now it's ready for some mud. What are you doing next? Pipe?
I hope to.
We won't let the wife watch this video.
No.